Welcome to the TNT Podcast, where we dive into the stories of career trailblazers and learn about their trials and triumphs along the way. I'm your host, Drew Hantla, and today we have Joel Asante, a solutions architect with Amazon Web Services. On today's show, Joel walks us through his entire progression of early high school days, college experiences, to corporate internships, and how they all created a great resume for his eventual role with Amazon. Joel takes us on a journey through his career and how he believes the world of technology provides unique career opportunities for everyone of today and of the next generation. Follow along to hear more from Joel. We hope you enjoy. Joel, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so starting off here, what are some of the major things we should know about you? What's some of your backstory here?
Well, how far back do you want me to go? Obviously, I was born in Ghana. I moved to Kansas City in my late teens. Grew up in Shawnee, Kansas specifically. Growing up in Shawnee, Kansas, I would say it was a great experience. Got to get involved in a lot of different things. Obviously, growing up, you would always be involved in your generic sports, robotics teams, those kind of stuff. I was mainly focused on, initially my first couple of years of high school, mainly focused on soccer, played soccer for a little bit, then moved over to playing football as a kicker. And after a while, I decided, hey, let me try the things that's not sports related. So I got into my whole side of things, got into technology, started doing a little bit of programming back in high school, but that was more of prior to me getting to where I'm currently at. But after high school, then in college, went to Wichita State University, go Shocks. And during my time in college, spent the majority of my time, I would say, in the library, where I had to brush up on my programming skills. So a lot of times, I would say I was not the best programmer that was out there. But yeah, I would say that's me at a very low level. And obviously, throughout this conversation, I can discuss into details of certain portions of my life, whether it's high school, college, or my current position. And speaking about current position, I am a solutions architect at Amazon Web Services, which is a subsidiary of Amazon. It's now well known. And what we do is mainly we're in the cloud space. So cloud technology, we offer different companies like your Google, your Facebook, your small mom and pop shop, pretty much technology they would use to either build your application, host your infrastructure, host different backups, whatever you want to do when it comes to technology, Amazon Web Services does. And I'm a solutions architect for what we call our GovTech business. And what that essentially means is I have customers specifically in the GovTech space. These GovTechs are companies that help government agencies or local and state governments with their technology or different application workloads they need to do. So they're pretty much ISVs, and they sell to those agencies and state and local governments. But yes, that's me at a very high level. And obviously, like I mentioned, we can definitely dive into who I am at a specific point in time.
For sure, man. No, that was great. Things I kind of want to go back and talk about. One of the first ones being you mentioned, you had a pretty big interest in sports growing up. Do you feel like part of being in those after school activities kind of helped kind of create different passions or interests that kind of helped just, again, kind of help build that foundation of kind of where you're at today?
Absolutely. I say this to myself, if it was not for sports, I would not be who I am. And the reason being is, obviously, growing up playing sports, there's a lot to it than people that don't play don't get to see. That being one, the amounts of work that goes into play sports, whether it's practice, after practice, actually playing those games, to the after games film sessions. That itself made me, one, hardworking, but two, it made me understand that, hey, if I really want to be good at something, I got to put the work in it, right? I got to put in the hours of time to be good at a certain thing. And sports taught me that. It was, hey, you wanted to be a good kicker. Guess what? You just not only have to practice after or practice in this practice or practice after, you have to put in the extra work, whether it's finding some sort of field somewhere and go practice on those fields. So I would say absolutely sports itself helped me understand that, hey, if I want to be good at something, I got to put in the work, right? And it sort of relates to my current role, right? I have to put in several hours to make sure that I'm ready to go talk to a specific customer. I got to make sure that I'm prepared or absolutely good at going to say to that specific customer or whoever I'm going to talk to. So absolutely, it definitely helped out make me grounded for my future career that I currently have.
In regards to then going from high school to college, was there anything that kind of drove you to choose one college over another? I know we'll probably have some people in the audience saying, "Hey, man, that's great to where you got." Was there any benefit of going to Wichita State? Go Shocks versus another university?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. So growing up in Shawnee, Kansas, it's very prominent that everyone in that town went to either K-State or KU. And obviously, that's the biggest two schools in Kansas generically. But growing up, again, like I mentioned, after sports, I was into technology. I found a passion that was not sports related. And out of all the schools in Kansas, when doing my whole college search, I came to find out that Wichita State was, I believe, a top 50 engineering program in the whole nation, which was not marketed well because a lot of people do not even know about that. But my senior year of high school, I came to find out about that, and I was like, oh, cool, let me look more into it. So finding out that Wichita State is a top 50 program, but also with the program that it offered in terms of computer science, is one of the best compared to the two other universities, K-State and KU. I got into KU and K-State, but it was like, okay, long-term success, what programs can help me get into the industry I'm trying to get into? And obviously looking at the two cities, Lawrence, Kansas and Manhattan, Kansas, and Wichita, Kansas, which offered the best in the industry when it comes to tech. And obviously Wichita State being the aerospace capital of, I would say, the world, it just made sense, right? If I wanted to get into this sort of industry, I can work with the initial goal was to work with aviation companies where I can work in that tech department, IT department, and sort of start my career off that way. If I had gone the opposite route and gone to KU, K-State, KU was more of a medical school, right? It was a medical school where they focused more on the medical side of things. And so was K-State, whereas a business school, they offer more programs that tailor more to business, where Wichita State, if you were to be on our campus, we had a massive presence when it came to engineering. So when I did my initial tour, I fell in love, I would say. I was very excited about the different programs that we offered when it came to Wichita State and just the opportunities that they offered, not just in a classroom, but internships, different opportunities when it came to, hey, you can develop your career not in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. And I felt like the other two schools did not offer me that.
What kind of some of your top projects or even top experiences that were provided by the university do you feel like you had that really helped shape you?
Absolutely. So I would say this takes me back to my freshman year of college when it was my first real engineering challenge where I was part of I would say it was a class, but that class turned into a competition at the end of the semester. And that competition was it was a state competition, but also once you qualify for the state, you go national. That was probably my biggest, I would say, my first real excitement of the university. It was whatever we learned in the classroom in terms of engineering, we got to put into actual experience and actual hands-on product. And I remember this was my first actual product that I actually designed. It was an RFID. I'm not sure, Dre, if you remember this. It was me sort of building an RFID sensor or chip where whenever an RFID tag was placed on a delivery car, whenever it goes through a sensor box, it recognizes that and it alerts users, hey, your packages at this point in time in this city at this specific traffic light. It was a funny gimmick of a project, but I think looking back, I think it was great for me to understand, hey, if I'm going to get into the world of engineering and just technology in general, I need to understand how to problem solve, but also overcome challenges. And I think that initial class, my freshman year, made it where I understood the world I was getting myself into. And I think Wichita State did a great job of making sure that me as a computer science student took that class as one of my first classes in college. And it set a great foundation of, hey, you're getting to this industry. This is what you should be expecting. And yeah, it was a great sort of stepping stone into the world of engineering.
Looking back at your experience, what were some of the things you were like, hey, these are definitely like the top 3 gotta have, on the checklist?
One, opportunities outside of school when it comes to career-wise. 2, the opportunities of networking, right? What the school offers when it comes to, hey, be able to offer you with career opportunities outside of school, but also who can enable you to get to those careers. Then 3, obviously, for me is the value, finances, right? How much does school cost, and is it worth it when it comes to actually putting in your finances when it comes to that specific school?
What was your big decision to go with Amazon, and kind of talk us through that?
Absolutely. And I think this is a long story, but I'm going to try to keep it short as much as possible. But actually, Amazon was not in any real view. Like, it was not a part of what I was looking to get after college. But it started off, obviously, with prior internships, right? Internships from whether it was me programming robots at NIAR, I think they're still there. It was NIAR is a National Institute for Aviation Research. I was a robotics programmer, and I primarily programmed robots to navigate across campus. I was working on that for a solid minute, and during that time, there were different projects that I was involved in, and those projects led me to learning about Amazon technology. Amazon technology with AWS. There are several technologies like RoboMaker, if you guys are aware of it, but if not, that's fine. And during that Miller services and technology, I initially made a post about it on my LinkedIn page on, hey, I'm learning this super cool technology that Amazon has, blah, 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 and it's enabling me to succeed on my project at NIAR. So posted about it and asked about, hey, how's your experience utilizing AWS technology, blah, blah, blah. We see that you're a student in college at Wichita State. We would love for you to come intern for us during this summer. And it was the summer of 2021. Obviously, if a FAANG company or big tech company like Amazon reached out to you about interning, what would you say? I said, absolutely. I would take that opportunity at a no notice, right? So I took that opportunity for the summer of 2021. And during that summer of 2021, I interned for what we call our SLG business. And our SLG business stands for our state and local government business. And we essentially support state and local governments, right? Whether it's the state of Iowa, the state of Kansas, the state of Oklahoma, Texas, you name it, right? And also support different municipalities that are in those states. So I interned for that specific team and business. And during that time, I got to learn a whole ton of stuff, whether it was me building solutions, architecting solutions, working on different projects that include different new technologies that I didn't know about in my prior internships. But during that time, I developed a relationship with my manager, and also with the work that I had done helped me get a return offer. So I didn't necessarily apply to Amazon. It was more of, hey, I took certain steps, whether it's through internship, to get to getting that return offer from Amazon during the summer of 2021.
So in that case, you would say kind of your application, kind of your interview process was really the internship. And that's really what got your foot in the door?
Yes, 100%. For me, all people directly applying to a full-time position, my experience was applied to as an intern. But I'll say the intern role is not as extensive when it came to the application process as the full-time role, but it was very competitive too as well. I believe during my intern time, I asked one of my PMs, my program manager, about, hey, what was that internship experience like for all the individuals that applied? And she had responded to, out of all the people that applied, I believe it was close to the thousands of people, only about 90 got accepted for my sort of cohort of interns in our public sector business. So that was about a 6%, 6% rate. So if you look at your whole Ivy League schools, when it comes to acceptance rate, that's like in the 4%. My internship approval or acceptance rate was probably close to that, around that range of 6-7%. So looking back, it's very interesting as I look to myself and like, okay, was I really worth that 6%? But as of now, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I worked for it. But compared to the actual full-time roles for the individuals that apply, I believe it's a much lower acceptance rate. I believe that is like in the 0 point something percent of people that apply that actually get back. Because there is millions of people that apply every year and only a couple of thousands get accepted. So you're definitely, when it comes to these big tech companies, the application itself can be extremely tough. And I would say for me, if I can talk about the application process for a bit, I remember having to, making sure that I have my application, the resume itself, in this whole STAR format. And if you're aware of the STAR format, you got to make sure that whatever you did at those specific roles, following the situation, the task, the action that you did in those roles, and the results of whatever you did in those roles. And I remember having to make sure every single role, every single project that I did in college, every single thing that I ever did that I wanted to add to my application followed that format. And same thing with the interview too, as well, is, hey, whenever you talk, and you got to talk Amazonian-like. When do we say Amazonian-like? You got to talk about how the leadership principles utilize in your role, right? How the STAR format is utilized when you're talking on a specific time in your previous role. Whether it was, hey, I did something in my old job, and this was the situation, this was the task I took, this was the action that I followed with that task, and this was the results of that specific situation. So the application process, I'd say, regardless of the role, or regardless whether it's an internship role or a full-time role, or even a contractor role, it's very tough. And I think these big tech companies make it that way because they have several different people applying for very few amount of positions available.
Wow. Yeah, no, I think you detail craziest things, in my opinion, in regards to an application process for what to look forward. But outside of that, is there anything else in the application process that you think others should be aware of and to be prepared for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are two portions of usually the application itself, and if it's a technical position, they emphasize on the technical scope of that. So whether you're programming in those interviews, you're doing system designs. But another thing that people usually overlook is the behavioral part of those interviews, right? A lot of times we think, okay, I'm super technical, I'm going to go in and kill it, right? But a lot of times developers lack in the aspect of showing your personality and showing your behavioral skills. So Amazon and other big tech companies and all the tech companies have a behavioral portions of their interviews. And these interviews are to show that, hey, you're not a robot that can just sit back and program all day. They want to show, hey, tell me about a time that you solved the challenge that was not technical, right? Tell me about a time where you navigated something that was ambiguous, or tell me about a time where you got a horrible feedback from your manager, right? Those things are not technical. You got to be able to answer those questions in a non-technical way, which will show your personality, but also show the type of person you are. And I think a lot of times people in our role or people in our industry or people that are technical overlook certain things like that because they typically go in thinking, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to kill it on the system design and architect, whatever I need to architect, but they lack on those components. So whoever is interviewing for positions like that, I would say do not overlook behavioral interviews. Make sure you are aware of whatever company you're applying for, what they expect when it comes to behavioral questions and answers. I know with Amazon specifically, we follow what we call our leadership principles, and there are 16 of them. And Amazon expects you to answer your behavioral questions in those line of scope. So whether it's, hey, you have ownership of things, you take ownership of things, you have the bias of action for certain things, you are able to earn trust where you feel colleagues. How do you answer your questions that relate and fall back to our leadership principles? So again, making sure you are not a robot going in just looking to answer technical questions, but also be able to show your personality, right? Interviewers not only there to learn who you are as a developer, but also here to learn who you are as a person. So yeah, I would say behavioral skills are definitely something you should emphasize on when you're in those interviews.
I think you're 100% correct. That a lot of companies nowadays are beginning to look past just your ability to do work, right? They want to create a solid environment. They want everyone to be happy. You know, I definitely understand the need for that. Do you feel like during that process there was anything that you helped provide the people interviewing you to say, hey, you know, I'm a standout?
Absolutely. That's a great question too, by the way. I've gotten that question in the past. I think what I did specifically to stand out was not only obviously my personality, but also being able to let the interviewer know, hey, you're not just here to interview me, but also I'm also here to learn about the role, right? Because you are going in, and this was more of when I interviewed for my internship. I went in, I was being interviewed, and the interviewer asks you a bunch of questions, and you answer those questions. And at the end, they usually ask this one specific question. And I think people usually say, hey, I'm fine. But they ask this specific question. This question is there any question you have about the role and what that day in the life? Or they didn't even say that. They're like, do you have any questions related to this interview or anything that we do here? And I think a lot of times people just go about saying, hey, oh, no, I don't. Thank you for having me. And this was a great interview. What I did that made me stand out was I bias for action, and I asked a lot of questions about the role and the things that person did on his day to day. And why I'm saying this is because the person that interviewed me is actually one of my mentors in Amazon right now, and he said he sees a lot of people usually go to interviews, and they typically in those interviews seem like they are there to just answer a question or answer a bunch of questions and hopefully win a job, right? And the interviewer usually likes to see if they're actually interested in the role, and why they usually ask those questions of, hey, is there any questions you have for me specifically? Because I've asked you a bunch of questions in the last 30 minutes or hour. Is there any question you have of me? And typically no one has asked us any question. So it's usually good to ask the interviewer, hey, thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me all these questions, but I have one specific question for you. And this question is, what is the day in the life of your specific role? What is the day in the life of a solution architect? And it reverses the role of you being the interviewer and then being the interviewee, right? It's not me just being here to get interviewed, but also I'm here to also learn about the role and make it more of, hey, I'm excited for a potential role in your company, right? I'm excited to be in that position you're currently in. So it gets the interview that, hey, this person's not here just for to get the job, but also they're excited to learn more about the role and how they can progress in that role that interviewer is in. So I'll 100% say that's something that I can look at and say it made me stand out.
So kind of moving forward, right? You're in the job, you know, it's your first day there, your first couple of weeks. But what was it like, right? What was your experience? What was your take? Just kind of give us a quick little backstory on kind of your first couple of months.
Absolutely. So this is a very interesting, I'd say, first couple of weeks or even day or even months. When I joined my role as an intern, usually interns in Amazon, depending on the role, goes through a residency program. And the residency program can last from 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And the reason being that they want you to succeed and not just be thrown in your role and start the job. Even though during residency, you were working and you're doing your daily tasks, but you were there to learn. So my first, I'll say 5 months in Amazon was not customer facing. And when I say customer facing, I'm actually doing my actual role. right? I was given the freedom for the first 5 months to learn as much as I can. And typically in other companies, you hear people say, hey, I was onboarded for 2 months, I was onboarded for 1 month, I was onboarded for 5 months. But during that 5 months, I was in a residency program called TechU. It's a residency program for solutions architect where we get to spend our day just pretty much learning about the cloud, right? We learn how things are architected. We learn how to navigate different questions that we would get from our customers and clients who will navigate how to deal with different technology stacks. We learn about everything when it comes to the world of technology in the cloud. So I'll say for the question you had mentioned, the first 5 months was super exciting, right? I'm a learner by nature. I love learning, even to this day. I love learning when it comes to whatever technology I'm asked to learn. So the first 5 months was me just learning about AWS technology, databases, compute, networking, storage. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, you know that I enjoy learning because during that time of my residency program, I was just obtaining certifications. I got a lot of AWS certification to prove that I was learning during my time, my residency. So the first, again, your answer to your question is the first 5 months, just me and my fellow cohort members just learned as much as we can before we got into the full swing of our role that we actually play now.
During that time, do you feel like there was some definite like aha moments or even some like challenges you had to face and kind of overcome to help, continue to stay on top of this rigorous, curriculum and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can look back and say there was one moment that in my residency program where we were learning about networking, right? And I remember networking in college was not my favorite thing, and I learned. I think I learned networking my last year of college, my senior year of college, where you got to learn about the OSI model. And I was like, man, I hate this thing, man. This OSI model is not the best thing to learn because the OSI model is, to be honest, it's the foundations of everything in our society today. But the aha moment was in that residency program when I was learning about how networking in the AWS scope or the cloud computing scope, how it worked. It all related back to that one specific thing that I hated in college. So looking back, I would say whatever I learned in college, a lot of times you would say you might not really use whatever you learned in college in the role, like your whole calculus, your whole pre-algebra, whatever it is, you might not use it in the role, but at times you are going to use it. And in my case, I had to remember back on the OSI model that I had learned in my networking class because it was a big factor of my day-to-day role. And I still use it to this day with my clients where I have to look back on, hey, the OSI model, the application layer, this client wants to do this, and the application layer might not work in this scope or it might not work in this way. How does the OSI model tells us the application layer works? So every time when I look back specifically on that OSI model, I look back and say, aha, if I had paid more attention in college, I would have known much better. And obviously I know much better now about it, but during that first month or first 2 months, it was me having to reverse back and learn from scratch the OSI model. It was fun. Yeah.
In regards to your time with the company, so you were an intern your senior year of college?
Yes, my senior year of college. So entering my senior year of college, I was an intern.
Okay, so then from like the start of your internship to today, how long have you been with Amazon?
So I'm closing in on my 2-year mark outside of my internship because we usually don't count my internship. But as a full-time employee, I'm closing in on 2 years.
Awesome. That's awesome, dude. And so during that time, you've obviously picked up a lot, right? You've been learning. I see, every once in a while, probably more frequently, you're posting more and more, certifications and such. So in regards to your progression with this career, how far do you feel like you have left to go in your development?
Yeah, absolutely. And one specific leadership principle at Amazon that a lot of people will like, and I probably say is one of my favorite things in Amazon, is something called learn and be curious. Learn and be curious in our leadership principle states that you do not always you should not always be satisfied with your current development or career development or professional development. You should always aspire to learn more, whether it's new technology, new things when it comes to business things, whatever it is. Aspire to be curious and always wanted to be learn more. So for me, like I mentioned, I don't think my professional or personal development stops here. I'm the individual, like I mentioned earlier, I always want to learn. So whether it's me learning to teach others or me learning to go solve a problem is something that I would say in this line of work or in this industry, you're always going to do. I have mentors that always tell me, hey, Joel, even though you are sort of in your earlier stages of your career and I'm in my latter stages of my career, it doesn't mean that for me, my learning has stopped and your learning hasn't done. For them, in those later stages of their career, they're constantly learning, right? Because there's always going to be new technology out there that you have to go learn about. You're not going to be stuck learning. For the folks that know, like your Fortran or Cobox, whatever it is, whatever old programming language out there that the people that grew up learning about those things, you're not going to be stuck with those programming language. They're always going to be learning new technologies like your Python, your Golang, whatever it is. So in this line of stuff, for me specifically, I would say the learning never stops. I always look forward to learning something new from whether it's people that are technical, people that are not technical. I always say I have an account manager for the clients that we have. And I always enjoy learning from him because I'm more technical and I like talk about technical stuff. But when it comes to the business side of stuff, I might not be the expert at it, but guess what? I would go learn and be able to articulate and talk about it to you. So the learning and the professional development never actually stops. Now, I'll say, if you think it stops, then I don't think the industry, or any industry, even if it's nursing, the medical industry, carpentry, whatever it is, learning never stops. You're always going to learn about something new that you have to implement in your role. So yeah, learning never stops.
So in regards of kind of career progression and whatnot, do you feel like Amazon has like a direct path for you to continue to follow in regards to your progression? Or does the company kind of allow you to kind of pick your role and kind of go outside your normal bounds? Like, you know, if you wanted to be more customer facing and maybe get out of the program, you could do so, or vice versa, or a whole different field. Do you feel like you kind of have that flexibility, or is it much more of a paved road?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say there are multiple ways to answer this, right? For me, let me explain more my role. Like I mentioned, customer face, right? What is my role specifically? I'm a solutions architect, and I'm custom facing, but more of a tech consultant. And what that means is I'm the trusted advisor when it comes to our AWS clients in our GovTech business. So I advise my customers on how to navigate and utilize the AWS platform. So if a customer asks us, hey, you need to go use compute storage database, I'm that person to go tell them, hey, whether it's the CEO, the CTO, the CIO, the CISO, whoever it is, I would advise them, hey, this is the way to do this specific thing, utilizing this specific technology. I'm that person. When it comes to progression in this space, Amazon doesn't necessarily sort of hold your hand and sort of, hey, your career growth is how we determine your career growth to go. You sort of navigate your career growth, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is in the line of work that I'm currently in, you're an early career talent. You can become a mid-level mid-level solution architect, and you can obviously progressively become senior, principal, and so on and so forth. But in the world of Amazon, you drive that. Amazon does not dictate, hey, we think that you're ready for this position, or we think you're ready for this role, or maybe you should be good at this role. You drive whatever you think you're going to be good at. And Amazon lets you know, hey, yes, absolutely, go for it. We have positions available that you can go definitely try out and see if you're going to enjoy it, right? So if today, like, hey, I don't see myself being a solution architect next year. I want to go try out the whole PM role or technical product manager, right? Guess what? There are internal roles I can go apply for. And as long as I have or show that I have the capability and skills to succeed in that role, absolutely, I can definitely do that role. So I'll say, to answer your question in short, yes, you navigate your career in that time slot season. And a lot of companies do this too, is you navigate and determine your career growth and your career path, right? No one drives it for you. If today you were like, hey, I think I'm ready for a promotion, you have to drive that and show that you are ready for that promotion. Or today I'm ready to be a an account manager or a product manager, whatever it is, or a developer. You drive that. You let whoever needs to know that, hey, I think I have the skills and I'm ready to drive that path for me to go be that position. So yes, you drive your own way and you drive your career in that sense.
Roles, are those much more of like a salary-based compensation? Is that more of a customer sales-based how is it formatted for your current role, and then how would that change between the roles?
So my role is not compensated. Like when it comes to like compensation stuff, my role is not based off of quota, essentially, right? There are some roles that are based on quota where it's like a technical department, or say the technical organization of that sales force. But there are some roles that are based on quota, where you have to meet certain quota. You obviously get paid your base pay, all that stuff, but you make extra. What is the word I'm even looking for? You either exceeded or you've met those quota. With my position right now, since I'm a business development manager, meets their quota or not, I am not. My compensation has not changed, right? The reason being that as a tech consultant or as a solutions architect, your primary job is to earn trust from your customers that they don't think you're trying to sell to. The reason why that is the case is you are there to make the best decision for your customers or clients that would enable them to come up with the best technology for their application, infrastructure, or whatever it is. So they do not want to incentivize you to just try to sell them on certain things. So your role there is to, hey, I'm getting paid whether you do it or not, right? I don't get any commissions or anything in that sense. I'm going to offer you the best advice. I'm going to offer you the best direction when it comes to the technical side of things. I'm going to tell you, hey, this database is the best thing you can do. This database might not work. This storage platform might not work in a sense because there's other platforms that can do a better job, right? My goal is to make sure you as a client get the best when it comes to technology on the AWS platform. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. In that sense, I have a sense of relief that I'm not trying to sell my customer things, but I'm trying to give them the best of my ability when it comes to providing them the best technical advice of what's out there.
Had more of an at ease feeling in regards to also developing yourself, like not being required to constantly be looking for.
Put it into a box where it's like, hey, I had to find new leads and like do stuff like that and make sure I'm going to get a sell. Now, as a architect, I'm there to provide the best architectural advice when it comes to different things, which means that there might be things that I don't know about. And I tell you that for a fact because there are certain things that I'm a human. I'm not going to know everything, right? I'm not the expert at networking. I might not be the expert at certain things. But guess what? I'll go out there and go learn about it and find the resources that we have internally to learn about the things. And I would advise my customers on the things that I learned, which means that I'm not only advising my customers on things that I recently learned, but guess what? I'm progressively getting better on those things. And why I say this is, I'll give you an example. I'm not great at networking, like I mentioned earlier, right? Networking is something that I know about networking. I can do networking. I can talk to networking, but to the in-depth of it, I might not be the subject matter expert at it. So guess what? Some things my customers or client would come up to me and say, hey, Joel, I need specific ask with networking. What do? I go find certain things about those things, go learn about it. If I don't have enough time to learn about it and advise my customers on it, I'll bring other individuals to come speak on it. But guess what? During that time where I'm learning about those things, I'm able to develop myself on that specific topic. And that helps me tremendously because guess what? I'm not only stagnated on one thing and trying to get a sell out of that one thing.
but also I'll professionally develop myself by learning other things that I might not know about, because I have the freedom to just advise my customers on the best thing that's out there.
The role as a solutions architect is heading, and kind of how has it changed even as your time with the company currently?
Absolutely. So, since I've been in this role for 2 years, I would say for me, it's a good career path, right? The reason why I say it's a good career path, and being in this role close to 2 years, I would say it's helped me learn a whole bunch of stuff. And the reason why I say it's helped me learn a whole bunch of stuff is my role is mostly general solutions architect. And being a generalist, I have to learn about different technology, and I'm not stagnating into one technology. Whereas if you're a developer, you might be stuck in developing one single technology, whether it's like I'm a front end developer, I'm a back end developer, you're stagnating in that sort of that box, or you siloed into that box. Being a solution architect, your role is to be a generalist about a bunch of technology, right? And your role is to being a technologist, advising your customers on those technology. So long-term career-wise, the path of the progression of the role itself is pretty much being a technologist, right? You're a technologist for various technology, advising on customers that wants to learn about technology to help them progress in their company. So there are so many paths, right? You can take the solutions architect role, and 10 years from now, you can become a AI ML expert. You can become a data engineer. You can be whatever you want, or be somewhere senior when it comes to management in whatever small organization or big organization. There are so many things you can do by just being a solution architect. I think it's a sort of a foundations for technologists. So if you want to be a chief technologist one day, whatever it is, it's a foundation for technologists, which means that you learn every single technology that's out there in the industry, because you're constantly dealing with technology, and you're constantly talking about technology, you're playing around with technology, you're deep diving into technology. So yeah, you're a technologist at a very foundations, and you can do whatever you want to after the role.
Honestly, I'm getting kind of jealous. I think you've honestly inspired a lot of those that are listening in regards to, wanting to pursue a technical, whether it be degree or career position, but just be concerned with, hey, well, I don't want to be stuck behind a computer the whole time, right? There's still things about life that I want to go and be a part of, right? I want to be in the meetings. I want to talk to managers. I want to be customer facing and also be the one to provide them with answers, right? Whether it be a good or a bad answer, I still want to be that person for them, and I think that's great. I think a lot of people, to your point, you didn't know about it, right? And you went to a top university. You had the alumni group. It wasn't until you really kept digging deeper that eventually you found this was even an opportunity, right? So now I appreciate all of your stories and conversations today. I have a couple more questions to help us wrap up here. After everything you've said today.
Absolutely. One, I'll say two, actually. I give us two advice, and one being work for what you're looking to achieve in the future. And I didn't even phrase that properly, but essentially, whatever you're looking to achieve in life, work hard for it. Right. I remember in college, I was very naive when it came to what my future looked like. But I knew that one day I'm going to do something great. So I worked hard for it. I constantly was grinding. And the folks that know me know that it was not just a 9-to-5 grind on the 9-to-5 day job grind things, but it's like after school sort of grind, right? I'm learning stuff in school, but also I'm growing myself outside of school and learning about what my industry will look like for me in the future. So that's one of the biggest advices. Whatever your career path you want to take, work hard for it, right? No one is going to work harder than you will for your own career, right? Two, I would say is create your own opportunities. The reason why I say this is, in this day and age, a lot of times people think that, hey, I'm just going to graduate college, I'm just going to apply for jobs, right? It's changed recently. Nowadays, no one just applies for jobs and they just get the job because they just apply for it on the job site. You create the opportunities by networking with people that are in those roles that can potentially introduce you to individuals that are in those companies who might introduce you to someone else. So essentially, you're creating yourself opportunities to land future roles. And that's one of the biggest things I tell people that I mentor is make your own opportunities. There might be opportunities that come your way, and absolutely take those opportunities, regardless of whatever it is. And if it's not a good opportunity, you can deviate away from it. But find ways to create opportunities. And the best way to create opportunities is networking in our industry, in the tech world, in the tech space, is the biggest thing you can do if you're looking to get into space. It can be just networking with people in your alumni groups. It can be what I did specifically, LinkedIn, and I utilize LinkedIn a lot. I just reach out to people like, hey, I see you're doing this in this company. I would love to have a 15 minutes fireside chat or a coffee chat with you and just talk about what you do on the day-to-day. Doing those things to create opportunities. Right now, it might not seem that it's a big deal, but in the future, you might post a LinkedIn about, hey, I'm looking for a job. But guess what? That person you had interacted 2 years back might say, hey, we have an internship opportunity that you can definitely apply for. And I've seen my mentees get opportunities that way, right? They found people on LinkedIn and they found me and I networked with them with other people. You're essentially creating opportunities for yourself that you might not think can in the future come off use. But those are my two biggest advice. Work hard for what you're looking to do in the future and do not stop that grind. Continuously working hard because you're all network, build that networking body of work that in the future you might look back and say, hey, this person that I met was definitely beneficial because guess what? He's the one that referred me to this specific career opportunity. So yeah, create all opportunity and work hard.
No, those are awesome tips, man. A business book or speaker or person that really helped, impact or just recently you read and was like, man, this was a great piece to have. Do you have anything like that to recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really read books, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. But one book that I enjoyed reading was a book, I got the author, but it's called The Trusted Advisor. The Trusted Advisor is a book that is meant for people that wants to get essentially in my role, right? If you want to be a solution architect or be someone else to be a technologist, being a trusted advisor is huge. Trusted advisor, essentially what it talks about, it covers multiple different aspects of being someone that people can rely on as a trusted advisor, just like the book says. Or there's the world of being someone that people can trust, someone people can come up to because you offer honest feedback, someone that people can think you can listen, someone that people know that you can listen to whatever they have when it comes to challenges, problems, someone that can give a good point of view with their knowledge and that their technology knowledge, but also someone that can create a safe space for their clients or customers to be honest. Because again, they're being honest and trusting you with their business to make sure that you're giving them the best opinions and the best advice to go succeed in their business. So Trusted Advisor, I think, is a great book for individuals that wants to get into the world of being a technologist and being a trusted solutions architect. It covers a lot of things. So that's one book that I recently read over the last couple of months, and it's helped me be a better solution architect. So yeah, I'll say that's one of my biggest.
Have any socials or emails or websites that you want to recommend for people to reach out to you and to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say I'm very big on social tools. So if for folks that want to follow me, I'm Joel Asante on LinkedIn. So JoelAsante on LinkedIn, and my website, it's Joel Asante, first name, last name.com. And if there's any questions, individuals out there that have about the role specifically, again, I'm big on LinkedIn and I massively active on it. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and I'm always here to help out and always here to engage in the conversation.
Well, awesome, man. Well, like I said, it's been great having you on. I've learned a lot today. I hope others have too. Like I said, it's been great having you, man.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. And again, thank you for what you guys are doing here on the platform. So yeah.
If you enjoyed today's episode, then feel free to explore the rest of our offerings with the Brothers Frontier Studio. If you're not already, you can follow us at Brothers Frontier on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. With new shows every week and daily content on our socials, we hope you'll find what you're looking for. If you haven't already, please leave us your feedback with a comment or a rating to let us know what you thought of today's episode. Thanks for listening. We hope to catch you on our next episode of the TNT Podcast. I'll see you guys later.